let's call this meeting to order. This is a Doraville City Council meeting being held on Wednesday, April 15th, 2026 at 6 p.m. I will, as we're calling to order, I'd like to remind everyone to please take this time to silence your cell phones. And Doraville is proud to be a city of civility. While differences of opinion are natural, let us approach each other with open minds, speak with courtesy, and treat each other with dignity and respect. Respect is the foundation of good governance, and we thank you for upholding the spirit of civility with us. Now I will call the roll. Mayor Geierman, I'm here. Councilmember Simmons?
Here.
Councilmember Evans?
Here.
Councilmember Armistead?
Here.
Councilmember Henshaw?
Here.
And Councilmember Nasser?
Here.
And Councilmember Ray told me he was not going to be able to make this meeting, so. We have a quorum. I would like to ask everyone in the chamber to please rise and join us for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Great. Would anyone like to make a motion to approve tonight's meeting agenda? Councilmember Henshaw?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve tonight's agenda with one change, moving item CA 26-04 to the top of new business.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All right, motion carries. Is Dr. Josh Weaver in? And we can't take questions from the dais. What I will say is we've just moved the Stewart Road item to be the first, and I'll also let you know when you can speak about that. Is Dr. Josh Weaver here? Okay, with us maybe deferring that until.
I make a motion to defer the proclamation until another meeting.
All right. Do you have a second? All in favor?
Aye.
All right, great. Okay, now is time for public comment. And so this is when anyone wishing to make comments about Stewart Road or anything else can speak. We'll move the podium so you can actually be facing the council, but we'll give you 3 minutes to speak about any topic. Again, this is probably the best time to speak about Stewart Road. Of course, any other issue you wish to speak about, we'll start with people in the chamber. Just come up to the podium. You don't have to raise your hand, just come up, state your name and where you live, and you can have up to 3 minutes to speak.
Hi, my name's Sean O'Shea. I'm a resident of Doraville of Stewart Road for about 30 years. Appreciate your time today regarding the new business item C, now item A. I just want to make note that basically, a hazard is developed on Stewart Road since the Camino Apartments began operating. Parking by residents on Stewart Road instead of parking in the provided parking deck, they've essentially reduced a two-way street to a one-way street by parking along the side of the street pretty much 24/7. That development now presents an ongoing hazard to the residents, Northwoods neighborhoods, and the city. My expectation when the apartments were developed was that there would be sufficient parking, which I expect in the development, and replacement of the no parking signs that previously existed, which I had documented previously and sent to the council. The apartments also chose not to, in their development, not to provide on-street parking. When you come in here into Lumen, you'll notice there is on-street parking and plenty of room to go. The problem we have now is that when we had prior to that, we had an office development. We did not have any issues. They had on-street parking. It was business hours. We have now vehicles parked 24/7. And since they've been operating, I've witnessed one accident and observed many others. The northbound approach on Stewart Road is slight uphill, provides no visibility oncoming traffic unless you're at the apartments. This would not be an issue if oncoming traffic was in their lane and driving on the left hand instead of driving on the left-hand side of the road, which happens when there are cars stacked up along it pretty much all the time. The risk for school buses or emergency vehicles becoming blocked in this single lane passage is significant, and a matter of time before this risk becomes tragedy without action to address this hazard. I would like to endorse or propose to the council that the entire section of Stewart Road in front of the property owned by Camino Apartments be designated no parking and tow-away zone like the rest of Stewart Road south development, make it consistent. In the case of special event or unloading, a resource to direct traffic should be on hand to mitigate these issues if temporary parking is needed. Thank you for your time and consideration of this.
Thank you. Anyone else? Come on up.
My name is Charles Ping. I live at the Camino Apartments, apartment 119, in the building, one of them where the people are parking on the street. Well, I have never witnessed an accident there. I've never seen any trouble of cars passing when the cars are even parked there. I've got pictures of the street with the cars parked. And I believe that one of the reasons that this is happening is when I started parking there, I started getting tickets like this. Here's 3 of them, and which turned out to be bogus. I looked up the city ordinance, and it says that the city ordinance says that you can park on the west side by saying that you can't park on the east side. Well, the west side is the complex side. So I went and talked to the Major Jason Duet here. Can I submit this letter from him?
This is just public comment. So
Okay, public comments. I'll read it. And in a letter, I asked him to put it in writing about the legality of parking there. And the reason why I did that is because Camino Apartments has been harassing me and everybody else with threatening letters saying you can't park out there. It's against the rules of the complex. So it's a public street. And according to this letter from Jason Duet, they have no jurisdiction over a public street. And another thing, they're saying that, just let me read the first sentence here. We would like to inform you that per city of Doraville, vehicles parked along Stewart Road will be subject to ticketing and enforcement. Enforcement of what law? Well, there is no law. The ordinance says it's legal to park there, confirmed by Major Duet. It's okay to park there. Well, so they said there's more than one. There's several. And so police officers have been issuing tickets, which I came and talked to first one here to Jason Duet about it. He said, don't worry about it. It's not a real ticket, basically. So I've been gotten other tickets, you know. And there's something going on between the apartment complex and I believe maybe some officers that live there. I know one of them, and he told me, I won't mention his name, of course, but he lives in the same hallway I do. And I've talked to him about it, and he said that the complex has actually approached him and see if they could get him to use his influence to keep up with parking there. Well, I have a suspicion of why it's happening. And I've took pictures and I've got them on my phone. But basically, what they've started doing since I moved in there is they started designating parking spaces with numbers, and it says reserved. If you want to park in one of those in one of the decks, you have to pay for it. And people are not choosing to buy them. So, you know, when they found out it's okay to park out there, they started parking there. And because they don't want to buy those spaces. And I think this whole ordinance thing change from coming from the apartment complex is really to induce people to buy those spaces is what it's really about.
All right. I understand. Sir, that was 3 minutes. So we have to move to the next
Okay.
public comment. Thank you. No, I don't think so. I guess it is. There will be a public hearing, so you can speak again at that.
There'll be additional public comment during the agenda item.
I don't have anything written up. I'm Renee Glass. I'm a longtime resident, 30 years of Doraville for the second time. And like the neighbor said, there's head-on collisions going to happen. Somebody's going to get killed. Somebody's going to get injured, and then it's going to become a problem. And we need to head it off before it gets to an issue of a child running out from behind a car across there. The school bus is coming in one direction. Nobody wants to give. Nobody on either side wants to give. an inch. So you've got to play Pac-Man to get through there. I own a house. I'm not in rental property. I don't think I should have to succumb to the problems they've got up there in my neighborhood where I live 30 years now. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Chip Griffin, I've been on Stewart Road. My folks bought their house in 1951 and I learned to ride a bike on that road. And it's just a matter of common sense. If anyone of you folks would drive up and down that road and witness what happens when the oncoming cars coming southbound on Stewart Road meets you up and you're going northbound. And I've also seen the people that live in the two houses across from the complex have extreme difficulty in backing their vehicles out of their driveways because the cars, parked there. And like I say, God forbid there's ever an emergency, a fire, or something at those apartments. And emergency vehicles, there's no room for much less a fire truck, much less emergency vehicles to get back and forth. And I think the whole area in front of that apartment complex should be designated a fire lane. And that's just something for you to consider. That's all I have.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name's Annalicia. I am the assistant manager at Camino. So I do have some firsthand experience with everything that's been going on. And we are in agreement with the danger and concern that we have with the parking on the street. So I do want to make that clear to everyone here. And additionally, we just wanted to mention that no way or shape or form was this on purpose or anything. There was no intention of bad will or anything. We just want to make sure that everyone in the community gets to enjoy the same space equally. That's all. Thank you.
Thanks. Anyone else wishing to make public comment in the chamber? Is there anyone? I think someone's got their hand raised, Tim, so we'll pull you over. And just unmute, state your name, where you live, and you get 3 minutes. You're still muted, Tim. Can we ask him to unmute? He might have walked away. Okay. It looks like you unmuted, Tim, so go ahead, state your name and where you live. You get 3 minutes. We can't hear you. Everything looks like it's working on our end, right? All right. Going once, going twice. All right. So I just encourage people, if you want to avoid technical problems, coming to the chamber is probably city council is probably the best thing, but Zoom is definitely more of a backup option. All right, we're going to close oh, there's someone else. Okay, let's see if, did he move over? All right, Tom, you can unmute and you can have up to 3 minutes after you state your name and where you live.
Okay, Tom Hart, Gordon Heights. I think tonight is kind of a learning experience for the city council. When they vote on building these apartment complexes, on the last 3 that you've approved, this parking issue comes up, and the first thing you do, oh, they don't need parking. They can use the MARTA parking lot. They can park in downtown Atlanta. and they approve this stuff. Now you can see what happens, okay? This apartment complex, going back to Star Towers, was turned down multiple times because of parking issues and the fact that it's built in a floodplain on top of a stream. And then the geniuses decided they changed the parking issue on Stewart Road to that one side of the street, and they decided to build this clump in the middle of a floodplain with no parking. Okay. You did it on South Peachtree Road. You did it on the GM property. You're going to do it over and over again because you guys are way too smart for the rest of the planet. Now you got a problem. Okay. Stewart Avenue, because the buses, now wait till the schools open, and that place has got the same significance in terms of traffic as Chestnut. There's no parking on Chestnut, and the parallel road on the other side of the river is Stewart Avenue. Now, way we resolved the parking issue on Chestnut, when I was there, I put up 35 no parking signs. They still would quadruple park. I put a yellow stripe down the middle of the road and gore lines on each side, and the parking stopped the next day. We did the same thing in Upper Stewart Avenue next to the Quick Trip. Parking was a problem, put the double yellow line, parking went away, okay? But we've got the same issue all over the city. A council person seemed to think that parking signs and the law that supports them don't have to be there. But the thing is, we've got parking on streets. There's no parking, but nobody enforces it. You have to have a law on the books that you can match the signs with. And you need to go through the whole list of no parking streets and all the signs in the city. When I was there, we pulled up 120 illegal signs. So the city council needs to get together with the city manager and straighten the mess out, not only on this street, but all over the city of Doraville. Because it's a mess and it was created by this body. You did it. Now you got to fix it. Thank you.
All right. You want to try one more time? And one more time. Can you unmute? Okay. Now state your name and where you live. We're still not hearing you. Okay. Sorry about that, Tim. We're gonna close the public comments and we don't have any unfinished business, so we can move straight into item C from new business, the consideration for approval to of a text amendment.
Okay, I will be brief on this text amendment. So the first two slides here, this is a before photo from 2022. And then this is after the office buildings that were previous on this property have been torn down, but before Camino was developed. And then after, so the biggest change obviously is Camino being here now, and then the very wide sidewalk that they graciously built for us as part of our trail network. And then, the first comment I wanted to make is in the ordinance currently. There's been some discussion in emails and back and forth about, no parking signs. It's already currently prohibited on the east side of Stewart Road per the ordinance. So here's Stewart Road highlighted, and then the east side. This is looking north towards Camino while it's still under construction. So it was already and has been for who knows how long prohibited on the east side of Stewart Road the entire length, but was permitted on the west side southbound where Camino is currently. So that's just kind of where we are. So the proposed amendments just are pretty simple. So the first one, the biggest one to Stewart Road, just amending that so that there's no parking lot on either side of Stewart Road from Stewart Court, the neighborhood immediately to the south of Camino. And instead of going to Jess Norman, I actually went all the way to Clearview, which is the next block over going north, because I figured we probably don't want people parking there either for the same issues coming on and off of 285. And then I also removed Park Avenue from this list because since previously it made sense not to have any no parking, but we were actually proposing parking on both sides of Park Avenue when it reopens. And then I just wanted to make a comment based on some of the emails that have been being sent around. So just we pulled some records for that we have for police incidents of things that have actually been reported. So this is since January 2025. Camino opened early in 2025, if you remember. So we've had 3 resident calls regarding parking on the street in front of Camino. We've had 3 officer-initiated cases where an officer was driving by, saw an obstruction or something like that, and stopped to initiate a case. And then we have had 1 crash. I don't believe there were any fatalities at that crash, but that was the only one that we had on record at that location. So any questions? This is listed as a public hearing.
Yeah, I saw. No, I think just so everybody who spoke, this is another chance to weigh in. This is a public hearing, so we're going to open it up first to anyone in favor of making this change that was just presented to us. Basically give like a total of 3 minutes each to each person wishing to speak in favor of this change. Again, you would state your name and where you live and just whatever you want to say about it. If we do not go over 10 minutes, then we'll let you can come back and say more if you want, but just to try to keep it tight for this first round, we're just going to say 3 minutes and we'll see how long that takes. So again, it's a public hearing, so feel free to come up and speak in favor of making Stewart Road non-parking. And even if you spoke before, you don't have to say everything you said, but you could just speak in favor.
Hi, Sean O'Shea, and Stewart Road resident, 30 years. So yeah, as proposed here, I think this makes a great deal of sense in terms of the density that is now developed there and the period in that region to be able, I think, to address the area very cleanly and not to impact the lower volume traffic that happens down there within Stewart proper, just in terms of density and movement. So I would wholly endorse this modification to the code to resolve the issue at hand. And thank you for your consideration.
Thank you. Anyone else? All right, we will, yeah, sure. Just state your name, where you live.
My name,
Yeah,
I'm a little shorter than he was. My name's Kim Twanley. I live at 3620 Stewart Road. I mean, right there. It is a nightmare going through there. And I got here late, but there's also a school going in at the end of our street. Once there are kids walking up and down there and parents taking kids to school and whatnot, I cannot imagine what it's going to be like if that bottleneck remains. And I realize it's not an issue right now because they're not using the school. But again, I don't know if you all have already talked about that. But selfishly, I want it cleared out yesterday. But especially looking forward to having students and children walking up and down there. The sidewalk is great. We have people out there walking their dogs all the time, but they're going to get run over because you get so frustrated and you have to whip around the second you have a chance because that's a busy road and there's always somebody coming the other way. So again, I'm in total agreement. I would endorse this as fast as possible.
thank you. Anyone else?
This goes back in history a while. We had a child that was run over and killed by a drunk driver first thing in the morning when I was a child. That was Gay Chandler. I don't know if anybody remembers her or not. We didn't have sidewalks back then. And I walked Kerry Reynolds 1st through 7th. He was my backyard neighbor. I walked to Sequoia 8th through 12th. Very small schools. This school that's coming is 485,000 square feet, which is just phenomenal. But we didn't have sidewalks in DeKalb County or Doraville until we had a child that was actually killed on that road by a drunk driver first thing in the morning. And this is back when I was a child because she was a few years older than me. So before it happens, we need to head it off. No parking.
And for the record, Renee Glass, nearby resident, right?
Yes, Renee Glass, Pine Street, 30-year resident.
Anyone else wishing to speak in favor of the change?
Skip Griffin again. Yeah, I'm in favor of that. There should there should never be any cars parked there on Stewart Road in front of that place. It's common sense. Yeah. That's all I have. It's just crazy that what people have to go through to get by.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Chip, why did you go first? Okay. Hi, I'm Flora. We're at the corner of Stewart and Pine. So we are in favor of this. My only concern is with temporary parking, what is considered temporary parking? How are we going to manage like how long they've been there? So who's got eyes on them? When are we putting out like citations for that? Or is it like, hey, you've been idling for like 30 minutes, 45 minutes? What is that time frame? The other issue with not allowing them to park is where will they park for this apartment? Do they have enough parking in their lot, or are they going to just go further up the street and park all through the neighborhood? Those are my questions.
Right. Thank you. We can't answer questions here, so
Okay.
so
Those are my questions.
just taking your feedback.
Perfect. Full favor. Like they said, the school is coming. The sidewalk's great. It's huge, but maybe they could have used some of that land for parking, kind of like at the Lumen. Again, it's really hard to see around that stop sign when there's cars parked all along there. People are flying. Nobody wants to like yield to one another. So I think that's really important, especially people are just trying to get home to and from. So again, full favor. Okay, anything else? Yeah, the high school, they're going to be driving. So that's even more volume of cars going up and down that road.
Great. Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak in favor? Okay, there are two hands raised, so we'll start with Thomas.
Can you hear me? It's Thomas Hart, Gordon Heights. One of the principal reasons why the neighbors didn't want these apartments built was because of traffic and parking. And of course, the city council ignored them as usual. And now we have this. And as far as temporary parking and drop off stuff, it doesn't work at Lumen because you guys came up with that wonderful idea about temporary parking. And now you have people picking up and dropping off children and buses and the rest of it. That doesn't work it either. So stop all this halfway, drop them off, kind of hang out, excuses. No parking on Stewart Road. It's the same as Chestnut. And when they built this gigantic high school and the rest of it in there, it's going to be a freeway. It's going to be the same traffic level as you have on Chestnut. There is no parking on Chestnut. So this is not brain surgery. The people that built the apartments in the city of Doraville need to figure out how to get these people to park on their property, not use the street for their parking requirements. It should have been done day one. But again, the city council did not listen to the entire neighborhood. They listened to one person that lived in one house next door. That was it. The rest of the neighborhood didn't want this. So now you got it. And stop all this temporary, well, you can just drop them off or just, during certain hours, you can do this and that. Stop all that. No parking on Stewart Avenue. And the thing is, if you play games here, the neighborhood just needs to park all their cars on that street and just shut it down until the city council can get it through their thick skulls. Thank you.
All right, and I think there is one, and please don't applaud because it goes against our rules of decorum. All right, so we have, I think Olivia? Hello?
All right. Good evening, Steve and Olivia Coolish. We're in Stewart Court. We had front row seats to watch as Camino was built up. We are in support of the ordinance change to not allow street parking on either side of Stewart Road. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone else? All right, we're going to close that part of the public hearing and open it up to anyone wishing to speak against the ordinance. So ordinance change. Again, we'll have up to 10 minutes for anyone wishing to speak about this. Sorry, you can.
I understand the people's concerns here, but if there's any way to get these pictures here so you could see them, you could actually see the cars parked and you could see how much of the road is left. There's plenty of road for the cars to go back and forth. Okay, now these people don't like it. These people don't like it, in my opinion, because they live in the houses down on the other end of the street. There are no houses across from the complex on the east side. There aren't across from the complex where these cars are parked. So, and also there's only one no parking sign on the whole street. I went down the whole street and it says no trucks over 40,000 pounds or something like that. And that's it. So there is no restrictions like somebody claimed that you're not allowed to park, on certain parts of that street, and you extend that all the way up. That doesn't exist. But here's a picture. If you all want to pass this, you can see it yourself. I don't know if you're allowed to do that here, but you can actually see it. I'm suggesting that you all commission a study, by the city traffic engineering department, if they have one here, and let them do a study to see, what's possible and what really isn't possible because the apartment complex, they made this sidewalk there. That sidewalk is like 18 feet wide or so. You can park a whole moving van on it. If they would have just had a regular sidewalk there would have been another 10 feet of road available, or so. I mean, that's what's causing it. And another thing that's causing it is the pictures I've taken of all the vacant spots that they have a sign over it saying reserved. Well, you have to pay for that, and the way you have to pay for those parking spots is like if it's $30 or $40 a month, I'm not sure what it is, but if it's 30 a month, then it's 30 times 12 and you got to rewrite the lease and you got to pay for a whole year, even if you're not going to live there. Nobody wants to do that. So they have a lot of spaces vacant in their two decks that people are not using because they're reserved for people that want to pay for them and no one's buying them. So it's causing people to park out there. I think Camino Apartments needs to resolve the parking that they're supposed to provide on their property for the residents. That would solve it, I think. And I've got a lot of pictures to show. In the lower deck, they have on the right side, I don't know if it's north or south, but it's on the right side of the deck. When you pull in between the buildings, it's all the way over. You go down, there's a whole wall there that could have, just regular parking spaces. And you could put probably another 20 of them in there. And they just, I've even mentioned it to the lady that spoke here earlier, Annalicia, she's operates out of the building I live in. I talk to her a lot. But there's spaces that can be developed in the deck. That would relieve the problem. You see, I think Camino just doesn't want to go to the expense of doing it. Oh, she's welcome to. Yeah, but they're all filled up. Well, I see it. Right. Well, I've come in there to find parking spots, and, it depends on the time of day. Okay. When people are working, if you're not working, you can do that, and so you can find a spot. But when people come home, that's when it starts piling up on the streets because they're trying to find a spot. Now they have designated more spots for handicap, that could be taken up some. But I think if you were to see how many reserve spots they sell to people that are not occupied, you'd see where the problem's being caused. They want to charge for it. When I came there was nothing like that in the lease. I don't think that you're going to have to pay for a spot. That came later, and so they don't have enough parking for the people. And I don't know how many they designate. Annalisa could tell you how many cars you're allowed per unit. If it's probably at least 2. But if it's more than that, then you have a lot of people that They've tried to resolve the issue by hiring a separate parking company. And if you don't have a sticker on your car that shows you're a resident there, then, you know, you're subject to getting towed or getting a ticket. They're trying to fix it that way to keep people that don't live there from parking there. Then there are people that live there that have visitors come. Where are they going to park? You know, if your relative comes for a week or two, you know, you just got to have a place to park. They need to build another deck, I think. And I don't think they want to go to that expense. So I don't know. That's just my comments.
Hello.
Miss Batista?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, sorry about that. You can have up to 4 minutes to speak on this topic.
Okay. So I recently had just moved here and I didn't really know that this was a problem, but they had said that they have 2 parking spots per apartment, but I don't feel like that's the case. And I have mentioned to them that maybe letting go of some of those reserve spots that previous people were talking about, the reserve spots here that you have to pay for would probably eliminate like maybe 1/3 of that parking line that's on Stewart Road. There is a huge problem with people also not wanting to yield to each other because now that everyone around here that lives here knows like, hey, there's a bunch of cars parked there. You're gonna have to allow one line to go first before you turn out of that stop sign or vice versa. There have been people I got cut off. I just got home right now. I literally just got cut off right then and there because someone did not want to wait behind me while I was waiting for the opposite side to continue going, which almost caused a car crash because the other car from the other side was still trying to come. And so I think this is enraging a lot of people that live in the neighborhood. And this is also going to cause possibly something even worse because I am not from here. And I know that Georgia is open carry or something, concealed carry, whatever it is with their weapons. People are getting angry. This is going to cause a car accident and people are going to get road rage to the point where they are going to hurt or harm each other. And I do feel like something has to be done. There are parking slots or something next door somewhere. I feel like that's a good place to start. But for now, like, unfortunately, for people who can't find parking, they have to find somewhere else to park or walk from places that are nearby that have parking because this is becoming very, very dangerous. And I saw someone earlier mention something about the kids. I didn't even know there was a school near here, but that's actually a great point. If people are cutting cars off, I'm pretty sure they're going to start, whipping through that corner and possibly running over a child. So I think that whatever the city can do to fix this parking issue, I would greatly appreciate it.
All right, thank you. I think that was all of the hands raised. So we are going to close the public hearing and bring it back to the council for questions. Why don't we start with Councilmember Henshaw?
Thanks. My biggest issue is just the width of the road. International Fire Code says I think you have to have a 20-foot wide clear lane at all times. And if a standard parallel parking space is 8 feet wide, the road would have to be 28-foot wide by code to allow for a 20-foot wide clear lane at all times and parking on one side. And I don't believe, I did some loose measuring, I don't believe the road is 28 feet wide at the building. I will say that the building also the sidewalk was not built to narrow the road. The sidewalk was built on their property, so that right away didn't change. At least that's my understanding. So the road width didn't change when they built their property. So yeah, I mean, with the road not meeting the minimum international fire code, I agree that we need to change it so that there's no street parking in that area for a safety standpoint. Because the trucks they send to a single house fire, while big, are not the same as they send the multiple ladder trucks that are significantly bigger when they have to fight multi-story fires. So I want to maintain that from a safety standpoint. So that's my point of view on this.
Great, thank you. Councilmember Evans.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, I'm concerned, especially once the school gets going, that, we have school buses coming down there, more residents, first-time drivers, teenage drivers, and it's already an issue now. I don't want to see that continue. So I'm in favor of making it for no street parking with signage.
Thank you. Councilmember Armistead.
Thank you. I'm also in favor of this change. I've driven down the road. I can see how hazardous it is. I would rather get it taken care of now than wait till the school opens, as I agree with all of you that spoke, but I also sympathize with the parking issues that are apparently happening at Camino, and I hope that the representative who's here is listening to that and that they can work on some internal solutions, because residents need to park somewhere. So I'm hoping if we get rid of these on-street parking that you can make up for it in other ways.
Thank you. Councilmember Nasser.
I'd like to thank you everyone who are listening from home and who are present here supporting this ordinance. I appreciate it. I have a couple of questions. So temporary parking and emergency. I would like to just out because we would not be able to enforce it, how long they are parking up there. There's no way we can enforce that, or law enforcement or anybody else. Emergency parking, still the same thing, unless there's an emergency vehicle stopping by for fire or ambulance or many other issues.
Chuck, did you want to say
Could
something?
you please, somebody address?
On this road, no temporary, no emergency, there's no parking on that section.
Okay, awesome. Thank you for clarifying that. And also I got one more thing to say. If we can spread the road double yellow line, that's how people know kind of visually.
Do you mean like make the curb red or something?
Not cover right in the middle of the road.
Oh.
You park double yellow line, so that means there's no parking on the other side. I appreciate it. Get it done. Thank you.
Councilmember Simmons.
Thanks, Mayor. I Google Earth that for you, Chris, and it's 24 feet, that road. I wish we could do no parking on most of our roads. Our roads are very small, no sidewalks. People walk on them. Luckily, this street has a sidewalk, but that's another place, another time. So, I mean, I'm fine with no parking, but I was going to say, like this lady said, they're just going to go down the street and park in your neighborhood. That is definitely what's going to happen. But I'm fine with this amendment of no parking there. I like Councilmember Nasser's idea of putting a double yellow in the middle just to designate lanes for everyone sort of to stay in. Makes sense. Sometimes people are visual like that. And no, that's it. That's all I got. Thanks.
I guess like on the double yellow line thing, doesn't that sometimes speed up traffic? Like, is that one of the things that like they've said can make people decide to drive faster because it's sort of like giving them a speed lane? I don't know. I guess like I'm fine with the no parking thing. I just think that you're also kind of like saying, hey, this is a.
I'm fine either way, but it's whatever you guys want.
I guess too, just since we have a representative from Camino here, I guess I would just like to say that it does seem like if there were 2 parking spaces for every apartment, or there was some parking for every apartment, the there should be a way to track like who's in the lot and who's not, and make sure that, when you're signing a lease, that that person can find parking. I'm not worried about like people who are visiting or whatever, but it does seem like, to some extent, people are trying to avoid paying extra fees to, parked and reserved or whatever. So it does seem like that sort of bled over into this, community issue, really. Well, this is a first read, so we can have someone make a motion, but we would need to waive first read first. Would anyone like to make a motion to waive first read?
I make a motion to waive first read.
We have a second?
Second that.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Would anyone like to make a motion regarding A2604?
I'd like to make a motion, A.26-04, considering to approve the tax. I'm sorry, I think I'm reading the wrong one.
No, that's right. Ordinance
Okay.
changes,
Okay, ordinance change it to no street parking on Stewart Road. No street parking on the Stewart Road, no temporary parking, and no emergency parking. No parking at all on both sides of the street.
making the changes that were in the.
Making the changes from Clearview Avenue and to Stewart Road.
And removing the section about Park Ave.
And we are removing Park Avenue except as designated in front of the city police department.
And add additional signage for no parking.
And add additional signage, and are we doing the strip yellow?
If you want to do it.
Yeah, I would like to add yellow stripes on the road, so make it more visual to the residents and others who's coming to our city.
Okay. Do we have a second?
I guess I have an amendment. I'd be in favor of all of that, but not the yellow stripe until it's sort of studied a little further. But I would be in favor of potentially, adding the signage, and if there are serious infractions or continued infractions, also striping the curb with a diagonal yellow or a diagonal red. No parking stripe at the curb itself. That might be more effective from a no parking standpoint rather than the two lanes. A double yellow stripe particularly indicates, no crossing of the road or no turning across that line. Whereas what we're trying to get across is no parking. So I would want whatever measures we do to be strictly for that first. So that would be my friendly amendment to the.
Do we have a motion on that friendly amendment to remove the yellow striped line and focus on, some methods of
Yeah,
marking the
I'll second that, and we can look at that later time.
and look at the double yellow line later?
I'm happy to come back to that.
Yeah.
If this doesn't enough.
A motion, a second on the amendment. All in favor?
Aye.
Is anyone opposed to that? Okay.
Mhm.
All right. So now we have, do we have a second on this new full ordinance?
A second.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second on the original with the amendment. Any discussion? All right, I'm going to call the roll. Councilmember Armistead?
Yes.
Councilmember Evans? Councilmember Henshaw?
Yes.
Councilmember Nasser?
Yes.
Councilmember Simmons?
Yes.
Motion passes. So there will be further updates, but the Stewart Road is now no parking, right?
Needs to be an education period where folks are warned that the ordinance has changed. So I just want everybody to understand that we're not taking the cars off the street.
Immediately.
Past it.
And like I think that, to the points that were made earlier about, this law didn't affect that street. We are going to put up like signage and do all of those things as well, right?
Yes, we'll get that taken care of.
If you're, sorry, Mayor, it's okay. You're proposing, what, a few months, a few weeks?
No, it's 30 days.
30 days, okay,
All right.
cool.
Okay, great. We're going to take just a minute or two break, just in case anyone wants to leave. If you want to stay, you're welcome to stay for the meeting, but we're just going to take a minute or two break.
Testing, testing. All right. This agenda item is for a conditional use permit submitted by Goodwill of North Georgia, who is represented by Jeffrey Haymore for a suite located at 5600 Beaufort Highway. It is in the Beaufort Highway Farmers Market Shopping Center and it's Zone T5. This conditional use permit is specifically for our antique, thrift, and/or consignment store use. However, Goodwill is proposing to open up a Goodwill location here in Doraville, addition to a career center. Here's the location of the proposed Goodwill. It's to the furthest suite on the left of the Farmers Market Shopping Center. Here's the front facade. The last tenant was Crazy Deals Furniture and Flooring. The picture you're seeing is Teletron, who was 2 tenants ago. Because of the types of goods that will be sold at Goodwill, which sells mostly gently used donated items, we've classified this use as a thrift category, which triggers a CUP in T5. In addition to selling those thrift items, they will be selling new goods as well, and offering a career center. The floor plan did detail some classrooms, a computer and technical lab, workshop spaces. Furthermore, the donation drop-off door, it won't be on the front facade of the building. It'll be located on the side, which will be out of public view. The suite that they have chosen, it's fairly large. It's about 45,650 square feet. It's broken down into the retail portion and the career center portion. The retail portion, front of the house, and also the warehousing, which holds all the inventory, is about 33,270 square feet. The career center will be about 380 square feet. Here's an image of the back warehouse and also the career center spaces in the rear as well. Hours of operation for both the retail store and the career center are up here on the screen. Both the retail store and the career center will bring in new positions to the city, also listed on the screen of the types of roles. Here are some photos. It'll be your typical Goodwill that that you have probably visited. Same layout, and then a picture of what the career center entrance will look like, which will be inside the store. It's also important to note that there is kind of a gap in Goodwills, and this specifically in this area. There is one in Peachtree Corners, one in Sandy Springs, and one in Tucker, with Tucker being the closest to Doraville, being 5 miles away. So this store will kind of fill that gap. Here's a picture of their proposed wall signage. They will have a large wall sign in the center of their unit, but also they're going to have a donation drop-off sign to the left of the unit, just noting for people to pull around back to the side. Both staff and planning commission are recommending approval, and their representative is here tonight in case you all have any questions for either myself or their representative. Thank you.
Is there anything that the applicant wants to say to add on to this, or?
I will be brief. Mayor and the city council members, thank you for the time to be here in front of you. Just briefly, my name again is Jeff Haymore. I'm a land use and zoning attorney. Our office address is 1776 Peachtree Street in Atlanta. More importantly, Mike Pryor is here. He's a senior real estate expert there at Goodwill. And we are really excited to be coming to Doraville, if you will be so gracious as to approve this conditional use permit. The mantra or the mission of Goodwill, as you may have seen from our papers, is to put people to work. And we have sort of these ABCs: help people find a job, help people find a better job, and finally make a career. And so this career center is a component that's not in all Goodwills, but will be in this one. We have $1 million generous donation grant, and looking forward to being in Doraville. I don't know that there's much more to share. Albert, your staff has been amazing. They've done an awesome job of summarizing everything, so I don't want to be repetitive. Just here to answer any questions that you have, and of course, reserve any rebuttal in the unlikely event of any opposition public comment.
Great, thank you. Well, this is a public hearing, so we're going to start with that first. First, offering the floor to anyone wishing to speak in favor of this conditional use permit. Just come up to the podium and state your name and where you live. Folks in favor can speak for up to 10 minutes. Right, I'm not seeing anyone come up, so we're going to open it up to anyone wishing to speak against. Again, you can come up to the podium. You can also use the raise hand function in Zoom. All right, I'm not seeing anyone raise their hand or come up, so we're going to close the public hearing and see if council has any questions. Councilmember Nasser?
I'm excited to see you guys here in Doraville since you coming up with the career center that will help our community here in Doraville, since there is none of them around here. So that will also give us bring us a little more traffic, or known to other areas that that here you guys doing a great things for our city. But thank you. I do not have any additional questions if anybody else.
Great, thank you. Councilmember Simmons?
Thanks, Mayor. No, I think it's good. It'll help activate the shopping center a little more with the farmers market and whatnot. Just got to make sure my mother-in-law is not watching this and knows about another Goodwill place near. So no, it's good. Thanks.
Thank you. Councilmember Henshaw?
Yeah, I'm guilty of browsing Goodwill from time to time for uranium glass and a couple of other things. Yeah, my only comment would be that because your drop off and your career center are sort of around the side and around the back, I would want to make sure that there's adequate safety lighting at those locations, whether it's either motion activated or not, but also you have an apartment building next door to you so that that safety lighting doesn't bleed into their apartments as well. We do have light pollution codes. So as long as there's thorough lighting that's down firing for safety, but not cross firing for into the apartments, into the neighbors, I'm very happy to see you guys in the city.
Great, thank you. Councilmember Evans?
Mayor. Thank you all for being here. You mentioned $1 million grant. Can you speak more about that? It's specifically for the Career Center?
It was Weta Foundation, which is, I believe, Coca-Cola money.
The former CEO of Coca-Cola has set up a foundation, and we've worked with them for years, and they have given us a $1 million grant to help open up and support and get things moving here in Doraville.
That will all go to that Career Center in Doraville? Or that will all be spent on that Career Center?
Yes, sir.
And
it will also go to help toward the operational functioning of the Career Center for the first year and a half.
And then I know Albert mentioned some locations, but there's also, they're probably smaller, but some locations for Goodwill in Chamblee and one by Perimeter Mall in Dunwoody. So is there one particular reason for the location here?
It just is a hole in our territory. We know that there was a need in this area. And then when we also had the opportunity to because we have 71 stores, but we only have, this will be our 15th career center. So we don't have career centers in all the locations. So this is an area that we have studied and know that there's a need here, both from a retail standpoint and for servicing and helping the community.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Great. Councilmember Armistead?
I'm excited to not have to leave Doraville to drop off donations anymore. I haven't been behind that building. When somebody comes around to donate, can you just drive all the way? Are you routing people just all the way around the building and back out?
No, ma'am. It is a wide turning area on that side of the building, and there was actually a building addition that was put on the exterior of that, and the landlord is going to allow us to remove that, so that'll even give us an additional 6 to 8 feet, and it's going to be a wide enough to where the people can pull up. We'll have a double slider on the side of the building. Someone will come out, help them get the donation, and they'll be able to turn and go right back out the way they came.
Is there I'm sure you deal with this at a lot of your locations, but a way to deal with dumping of donated goods so they don't sit out there? And
One of the councilmen spoke to that a little bit. We do have security cameras that we put out, and we patrol that. That's one of the first things that we try to do in the morning when we first arrive, because that's usually when it happens. Somebody comes through late at night drop something off. And a lot of times they may drop something off with good intentions, but sometimes they dump. And that's part of our, being a part of the community. We get, clean it up, move it out, check it, make sure that it is not a donation, and dispose of it as needed.
And then how does the Career Center work? Is that a walk-in?
Yes, ma'am.
Fully walk-in? Will you be publicizing that to the community so that people know it's there?
Yeah. Oh, yes. We will do a lot of advertising, letting people know that we're coming in with a career center. We're actually doing a job fair with Councilman Evans in, I think it's May 14th. We have a mobile career center that if there's a location that we cannot, or we don't have a site close by, that we can bring in our mobile career center and park it in there. So that's what we're going to do to help with this first Doraville kickoff.
That's it. Thank you.
All right, great. Well, I'll just say I'd be happy not to have to go to Chamblee to drop off goods. So,
Appreciate that. And would ask that if you would consider waiving first read.
yeah, I was just about to ask the council to, if anyone would like to make a motion to waive first read. Do you have a second? Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All right, I would even like to make a motion regarding CUP 2601.
Nope, this one.
I'll make a motion to approve CUP 26-01 for the consideration for approval of a CUP submitted by Goodwill of North Georgia, care of Dillard Sellers, for a proposed thrift store within the T5 zoning district.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All right, I will call the roll. Councilmember Evans,
Yes.
Councilmember Simmons,
Yes.
Councilmember Armistead,
Yes.
Councilmember Henshaw,
Yes.
Councilmember Nasser.
Yes.
All right, motion passes. Welcome to Doraville. Thank you.
Thank you all.
All right, I'll be quick on these next two items. So this next item is a text amendment A2603 regarding the expiration of land disturbance permits in the code. So if you're wondering where this particular text amendment came from, the survey that we sent out to you guys earlier in the year, thank you to everybody that responded, had a list of a bunch of the kind of small text amendments, one of which was reducing the amount of time that it takes for a land disturbance permit to expire. Currently, it is 5 years. I have a chart on the next couple slides that I'll show you to just kind of put in context where everything else is. Most of you all voted in favor of that. So currently, when you pull a permit, if it's for single family residential, and if you don't do anything for 6 months, or you stop working for 6 months, your permit expires due to inactivity. For everybody else, land disturbance permits, commercial, multifamily, things like that, it expires after 1 year of inactivity. And the hard stop date for your permit expires no matter what. For land disturbance permit is currently 5 years, and for everybody else it's 2 years. Now, there is a provision in the code for land disturbance permits, big construction projects. For example, if you already know your project's going to take longer than that, the city manager is allowed to grant you. You have to request it in writing, but the city manager is allowed to grant you a longer time period. But that request has to be done in writing. So some of our bigger projects, Assembly, the Sequoia Middle School and High School, things like that we knew were going to take several years longer than the 2 years that we're proposing here, have already been granted permission by the city manager. So just throwing that out there. So some of the other proposed changes, so like I said, reducing the expiration from 5 years to 2 years, and then defining what inactivity means. So this is kind of how we already do it in practice, but just making sure that's tied to the regular inspections that you're supposed to do for these larger projects. So rough framing, foundations, MEP, all that kind of stuff. That's kind of how we tie that we know that you are doing work and requesting inspections as you move through the process. Also making a recommendation that a provision that the building official can make a determination if there's some other kind of evidence, because we've had people supply material orders or something like that before, if there was something complicated that took a while to get here. And then just a reminder, like I said earlier, if you know your project's going to take longer, just because the code says it's 2 years. There's also provision that you can get written permission for it to take longer, and other people have taken advantage of that. So staff are recommending approval. And I did want to make a note on the agenda. It says public hearing. This is not a zoning item or a sign related item, so we don't technically need a public hearing. That was my mistake that I wrote that on there.
Okay, so this is, I was like, there's a public hearing for this?
Right, that was, I apologize, that was my mistake.
Okay, so this is actually like just questions from council. I guess I have a question for you on this. The cases where I think this is an issue, they probably would have asked the city manager, whoever, for some longer period of time. And we'd be sitting here fuming over the fact that no work has happened and they got this longer period of time anyway. Is there any sort of way for them to request that after the permit is issued, or like an extension, or?
I mean, in my experience here, when we've had projects that have had like this, they came in knowing that it was going to take longer. Sequoia is kind of an easy example because they have school calendar deadlines that they need to meet. But Assembly is kind of a good example in both directions, where some of the stuff we knew, like the studio campus build, like that part we knew was going to take longer than 2 years, and did take longer than 2 years because of the complexity of all this site work that was going into that. But also outside of that parking deck, nothing else has really been built on the entire site in about coming up on 3 years. So, but they have a 5-year window that they're still operating within. So I would, it gives us teeth to either prod people along with that kind of looming deadline, because if your permit expires, you have to get another one and you have to pay us all over again.
Okay. I guess the one that I'm thinking about the most is the Kmart site, and
yeah, they're currently also operating in that 5
I know they've got like a ton of time, but as far as we're aware, nothing is on the horizon happening there, and we really don't have a way to pull the permit at this point. But they might have, if they'd have whenever they got it, they might have said, oh, it's going to take us, longer than 2 years to do it.
Yeah, and as far as I'm aware, that they never, I mean, separate from the timelines with the DDA for the other part of the property, as far as I'm aware, they never requested an extended timeline for the site as a whole.
Okay. All right, we'll see what questions anyone has. We'll start with Councilmember Armistead.
Thank you. Yeah, I think we definitely need these teeth, so I'm in favor of shortening the time span. This is a complaint we hear up here all the time from residents, and 5 years is a really long time to watch a lot sit. Thank you.
Councilmember Evans.
Thank you, Mayor. You touched on it briefly, but what does the extension process look like? And specifically, if you're approaching your deadline?
So there's also a provision in there where you can get like I think it's either a 60-day or a 90-day extension, like if you're approaching the end and you need one more time, so that's 2 to 3 months. But for the one that I was talking about, where like Sequoia knew it was going to take 4 years to get the whole thing completed, how we've handled that in the past is they just provide basically an email to the city manager requesting and stating the timeline, and usually they provide some kind of documentation, like their construction schedule or something that they provided to the county in this case. And then the city manager just approves that in writing.
Is there an additional fee for that extension?
No.
And then projects that have already started, they're grandfathered under the current law. If there's changes, what happens if they come for renewal? Are they applicable to the new revisement, or?
Anything currently active would be grandfathered, unfortunately, but if those expired and then they came back, the new provisions would apply.
Yeah. Thank you.
Councilmember Simmons.
Thanks, Mayor. My only question was sort of what the mayor was saying. And can we just leave it as a standard? If we take it down from 5 to 2, let's say it's 2 years, then 90 days before it's set to expire, they can request for an extension from the city manager, just so we know that they're doing work and doing everything, sort of like how most licenses are when you have to reapply and all that stuff.
That's how the 60 or 90 day, sorry, I can't remember that. That's how that works. They just shoot us an email requesting that. But when we issue the permits have the expiration on them.
Right. But you were saying like for Sequoia or Assembly, you knew it'd be a longer process. They did it up front when they first applied. Instead of that, can they just be standard 2 years, then 90 days before it expires, then they have to reapply for the extension from the city manager or whatever it has to be? Can we just do it like that so we know that they're doing well and they're doing good and they're moving forward?
You're saying just the extended timeline just can be requested at any point.
I like that idea better because I think that
It
it
shows they're,
we know what kind of project.
instead of doing it up front and like, Scouts honor handshake or whatever, it's like, no, you guys show us what you're going to do. And if you're doing right and you're doing well, then it should be no problem 90 days before it expires. I'm not going to give you all this up front because, we've been screwed in the past or however you want to say it, Like, no, don't fool me twice. I don't know, just suggestion. Thank you. That's all I got.
Councilmember Henshaw?
Yeah. Allergies are still getting me. Yeah, you had mentioned very briefly something about if there was a delay in materials or something like that, they could ask for an extension. Is that is that formally written in there as well? Is there a formal process for that?
Yes. Well, that's part of what this that's how we've handled it in the past, is if there's some odd circumstance, like when we had supply chain issues a couple years ago or something like that. And the materials one is one that somebody had requested recently of, I ordered some steel beams that took forever. And they were trying to use that as, not saying that like that will get you an extension, but just like that's the kind of stuff that you can provide to request an extension from the building official. So,
okay. And I'm going to bring this up
or to
again.
prove that you were working on the site kind of stuff.
Yeah. Stuff stored in a container versus on site. Or, I'm going to bring this up again because we had talked about it in the past, but I don't recall it was ever resolved to my satisfaction. When we have projects that interface public right away with sidewalks, I would ask that we formalize, and I think you had mentioned that there's a process, but I would like to see a formal bonding process for sidewalk improvements put in place so that if a project stalls more than X, whatever the time frame is, that the city can then utilize those performance bonds to complete the sidewalk portions of the project. And I know sidewalks usually go in last because they're, it's hard to build around a decent sidewalk. You got to do all the work on the sidewalks and blah, blah, blah. But that's not our problem. If you delay a build by 2 or 3 years and the infrastructure is just failing and the sidewalks are crumbling and weeds are growing out of it and it becomes an impassable or it's an unsafe passage for our residents and our neighbors. I want something in place where we can go and maybe it doesn't have to be a full rebuild, but we should be able to bond out repairs or completion or something to make sure that public safety is our number one priority for that. So I don't know that that needs to be tied into this exact reading, but I think that if we're going to, we just need to tie public safety into the extensions that are offered or somehow work that out. So again, it doesn't have to be integrated into this because it's not flushed out, but I just wanted to bring that back up to the attention of everybody.
All right. Thank you. Councilmember Nasser?
I kind of agree with that, but council member Warren, that we got to know what's on the table. It's not, we're not going to extend your, no, there's no extension on your LDP. So I kind of, I hope, I mean, we got to know exactly what's going on the land. Just can't say, he just bring a, anything on the property and say, you know what, we just need another 90 days or another 3 years or 2 years, whatever extension. But that's not, I don't know. What else? I don't know. It's just not going to work. It's a lot of people trying to trick us, just like Kmart property is vacant. Then the property, also the corner of Oak Cliff and Beaufort Highway, that's also sitting vacant. So we got it.
Permit did get revoked though.
I mean, it's still. So, but anyway, that's my 2 cents. Thank you.
All right. Councilmember Evans had something else?
I just wanted to ask, like, what are the teeth or possibilities here? I know sometimes we have projects that stall, the silk fencing is not there, there's piles of dirt. Is that a tie-in with this, that these things must be remedied before a land disturbance permit is issued?
So if you get to a land disturbance permit, for example, if you get towards the end of the window or inactivity or whatever, part of it is you have to stabilize the site, and that differs depending on how far along they were and what they did. So sometimes that's just seeding it so that dirt doesn't erode. Sometimes that's covering stormwater inlets that were put on there to make sure no mud gets in the system. It really is kind of like site specific. And sometimes they might have to tear part of a building down if, it is a hazard because it's kind of half complete or something like that. But that's something that we can require people to do, and we basically like write tickets and bring them to court and all.
I like that.
Yeah.
I think if we add some additional context around the extension, not only the reasons why, but also the improvements to the site, as you said.
Right. And taking all this like silt fencing, like you can't just leave silt fencing up forever.
Flapping in the wind.
Getting it to the point where it's stable, and then you can remove any kind of fencing and all that and secure it.
Well, this is the first read. I mean, you got some feedback. Did you want to work on it again, or do you want us to?
Some of the comments, sorry.
We have one more question.
Thank you. If we did the 2-year set and then you can apply for an extension 90 days before your 2 years is up, would we let people, A, would we charge people for that? And B, would we do it for another 2 years, or would there be a shorter?
Don't know if there's a fee for an extension.
Do you charge them a fee at the beginning? I'm saying, as Councilmember Armistead said, if they go, it's 5 years and they want 8 years because they know it's going to take 8 years, is it a different fee? That's, I think, so what she's asking.
Well, I'm
in a
asking like
sense.
Sequoia, if we had said, okay, Sequoia, we're only going to grant you a 2-year permit, and then you come back and ask us for an extension, we're not going to charge them.
Unless they do it in the first place unless they do it they usually do it based on total cost of project, right? Or square footage or something like that.
Or land disturbance, it's the size of the project. Yeah, for building permits, it's the square footage. And it's 60 days, not 90 days. And then there is no fee for an extension. So.
Okay. And would the extension be for another 2 years, or would they tell us what they think they
I
need?
mean, if y'all wanted to limit how long that they could extend it.
Let's say 2 years.
But no, currently, no. It's just basically provide your justification for what you're asking.
This is residential and commercial, right?
This is everything, yeah.
It's everything.
But the people getting a land permit, it's typically like a big development.
Right.
In residential, you put to 6 months now, right?
If for inact.
Right? Yeah. Right. There you just- Yeah, there you go.
So single family homes, you stop working or you don't start working, that expires faster than everything else.
Yep.
So is there other feedback that you wanted, or?
I mean, some of the discussion about like bonding and expiration, I mean, if you wanted to cap how long they could extend it for, that's an easy fix to that. Some of the stuff like bonding and all that, I think is a little bit out of the scope of what we were trying to fix. Trying to set ourselves up to not have some kind of zombie projects that struggle along for years in the future.
Councilmember Henshaw?
Yeah, I mean, I'd be in favor of, first extension is free and then your second hit is, costs money. If you can't keep coming up with the same excuse over and over again and expect us to.
So if you can bring the fee I can bring fee schedule amendments back at a future meeting.
Yeah, I guess, also just hearing the conversation, I think, yeah, there are certain projects that may require a longer period of time and need more leeway to some extent, but at the same time, like the length of time, there is like some cost to that too. So, maybe the duration has some factor into the cost.
I'd also like to kind of find a way to distinguish between active and inactive projects. If we have a project that's just truly just been sitting empty, that's a much more egregious thing than.
Well, that was one of the, was tying it and this is how we typically do it in practice, but just codifying it of like, tying it to inspections. And then if there hasn't been an inspection, but they insist that they were working on it, just basically providing whatever material to the building official to let her make a determination.
Yeah.
If I just done any work.
I just would be more harsh against people that start a project and just stop completely versus people that are just getting delays along the way due to could be funding, could be material availability or scarcity or whatever, but we all know the egregious offenders on these.
Go ahead. So, scenario, 1 year, 363 days, calling an inspection just to fail. Does it roll over?
Did it fail? Did it fail?
Oh, it failed. Doesn't matter. They called an
Did it fail
inspection.
because in that instance, does it fail because it wasn't built correctly, or did it fail because there was nothing there?
Huh? Yeah, they just call an inspection. It's not ready.
I would turn that over to the building official who would then.
All right, I'm just saying, I've heard of.
Our
people-
attorney made a face at that. Does he have anything to
I've
say?
seen and heard people do that.
He's turning on his mic.
And I'm going to give you an attorney answer, which is there are a lot of aspects to this one. And I think this is a really good conversation because there are a lot of ways people game the system. So based on this conversation, I think I've heard and by all means, but I've heard a general idea that we want to tighten this up and make sure people aren't just, moving the dirt or calling for an inspection and say, I inspected it. And I think it's a good conversation we can have and come up with some thoughts based on this and bring it back. So that's what I'm thinking.
I just know that's done in the construction world. I've seen it.
How about you?
I've seen it.
In the mirror.
Seen it.
From all the people he's competing against who are undercutting him on cost because of their shady practices. I think I guess I would just say to you about the 2 years, some projects are going to take longer than that. Some projects may take longer than 3 or 4 years. And I would like to make sure that whatever we do builds in some flexibility for the city manager to kind of work with those people and not say, okay, after 3 years or after 4 years, it's all over, because there are good developers who will take a long time to build. I don't want them to be shut out of Doraville, but I also have experience with the bad ones who probably would do what Councilmember Simmons said and call a fake inspector, and who've let their lot sit idle. So, trying to tighten it up, I think, is a good idea.
So, no way.
I don't think we're going to waive it. I think we would like you to come back with
Okay.
a little bit deeper. I think with Cecil, you heard what we were talking about. Great.
All right, I have one more thing, sorry. All right, so the last thing is a resolution that's in the agenda item regarding a discussion. I apologize, I don't apologize, I wasn't here at the last meeting, I was at the beach. But a discussion that council's had about potentially waiving some permit fees for the summer. And I just want to provide some context. So, oh man, I gave a joke away a little bit. So just some context, like we have done this in the past, as many of y'all remember. We haven't done it in the last couple of years, but generally the format has been for the summer months, so May, June, July, or somewhere around there, that council has waived permit fees, mostly for residential projects for residents. So if I may be so bold, I have in descending order of preference, 3 recommend options to provide you. Option number 1 is please don't do that. And I included in the packet, and I've sent some emails to Councilmember Ray and a couple of other y'all now and in the past about it. I do actually agree with the sentiment about making it easier and more streamlined for residents to come and get permits to improve their properties, or even just property owners to improve their properties regardless. I think that helps all of us out, and I agree with that mission, and we should work on ways to do that. I think we've made our permitting process a lot faster in the 6 years that I've been here. And I like to think that that's improved people's quality of life a little bit. What tends to happen, or has happened in the past when permit fees are waived, is we do get an influx, tend to get an influx of permit applications. And that leads to kind of a dramatic increase in staff time spent on these, because anecdotally, residential permit applications are the ones where we kind of have to walk people through a lot more than some of the commercial ones. Another part of the argument is, about reducing some of the cost. And I do understand the sentiment. Nobody likes coming to the government and paying us money to build something at their house. And that's just kind of the baseline we're all working from. I did pull some real world permit examples of stuff that's been permitted in the last couple of years, just to kind of show the cost difference between what people are paying us versus what project cost maybe. We do typically require people to tell us the total cost of construction, depending on what it is. So this first one was a permit for a new driveway that was permitted earlier this year. The permit cost for that was $175. It was a $75 administrative fee, and then we have a $100 flat fee for driveways, regardless of how big or wonky or crazy it is. But the project cost that the applicant provided to us was $4,000. So they paid $4,000 to their contractor. I don't know if they actually paid that much or if they paid more than that. And then they only paid us $175 for all of the time that we spent reviewing and inspecting that. Similarly, for a new fence, in our new fee schedule, you pay per linear foot. So you build more fence, you pay more money. To us, the project cost that the applicant gave us for that, it was a lot of fence, was $6,500. Similarly, for a new deck, the permit cost for that, because it's per square footage, so you build more, you pay more, was $537 all told to the city. The project cost that the applicant put in the permit was $20,000. Again, don't know if this is accurate. I don't know why you would overestimate how much your project was going to cost. I don't know what the benefit of that would be, but, and then finally finishing a basement, the applicant paid us a pretty big chunk, $2,175, but the project cost, the cost of construction that was included in the permit application was $60,000. So it was quite the renovation. So that's option number one, is please don't do that. Option number two is, we can do this, but we had made some suggestions for permit types that we think would really kind of, that would have some of the aesthetic benefits that council was trying to go at based on what I heard from listening to y'all from the conversation last week. So the permit types that we're recommending are driveways, fences, accessory structures under 200 square feet, and then actually residential solar panels. So if y'all are aware, the last couple of years, we've been working with the Department of Energy to try to get some, brand recognition for Doraville for promoting solar panels and solar systems. We've had a brief bump a couple times over the last couple of years, but reducing permit fees is also something that they recommend, or removing permit fees is something that the Department of Energy recommends to get people to try to install solar panels on their houses. And under 200 square feet is just because of under 200 square feet, or over 200 square feet, you trigger a lot more stuff in the building code than you do under 200 square feet. So it's really just zoning people reviewing your permit for sheds under that amount. And then last option is to do it for those properties that those permit types that I mentioned. But y'all had a couple people had brought up last week about homesteaded, or mentioning homesteaded properties. I would really recommend if we do go that route, that you just, instead of saying homesteaded, just say owner, or like owner resident properties. Because and I included an email that I had sent to the city manager about this. When you say homesteaded, what that means is when somebody comes in with a permit application, then our permit staff has to have a list of properties that have a homestead exemption from the tax assessor, and we then have to compare all of those every time an application comes in. Whereas when you say owner resident, all we have to do is check the address on their ID, which is something we already do anyway. So just trying to save Isabel at the counter a little bit more time. So that's my plea.
All right. Councilmember Nasser, we'll start with you since you're the person who brought this forward.
Well, I'm still in favor of my bill. I want to do it. I want to help out our residents, since they pay a lot into our system, and they should have some type of help from our city side, and that's how I feel like I should do it. And since it's a crucial time for everyone, inflation is up, people doesn't have enough money. If we let people rot in their house, it also affects our city, visual in our city, and it affects our daily life. So we rather do it. I know it's a cost. Everything has a cost in our life. So it's a little bit of cost for our residents, and we should eat it. And thank Thank you.
Do you have one of a preference of any of the options that he brought up?
Or those residents with the ID. Preferably the ID actually matches with their address. Owner residence.
Councilmember Henshaw?
Yeah, I have a question that you may or may not, or Albert may or may not have an answer to. When we've done these amnesty permit waiving, fee waivings in the past, do we get an influx of people who file for permits then don't complete the work? Or is it generally just people come in and they do the work eventually?
I don't think we've done it since Albert's been.
Yes. So what we noticed in 2023 is that we get a lot of applications. A lot of the site plans and the drawings are very poor. And ultimately, they don't get through the process just because they don't know how to like revise the plans to meet either building code or zoning code. So ultimately, the permit never gets issued, but we do get a lot of applications from this.
So my suggestion would be that if we decide to move forward with this, that we charge the application fee, receive the application fee, and then return or refund them once the project has been issued a CO or, I mean, it's the only way I can think of to get oversight for people who just want to kick the tires. That, you know, oh, I'm going to get around to this. Eventually I'll submit the permit. You go through all the work and they don't do any of it. And that just seems frustrating. So I don't know if that's I mean, yes, it's one more step where you have to write them a check or they have to come in and get a refund, but it might get rid of 100 tire kickers where you guys aren't being burdened with the work that's not going to actually get done. That's the only thing I can think of to get around that issue.
Councilmember Evans?
When you apply for a permit, it requires an inspection. Is that accurate? My concern with the proposal of removing driveways and fences is we've had several issues with driveways and fences not meeting code, too much impervious surface, gravel lots, fences not reaching certain heights, too high. I would like that to be inspected. So I don't.
If you waive the fees, we would still inspect it.
Even without a permit?
This isn't waiving the requirement for a permit. It's just waiving the fee that you would pay for the city for the permit.
So how would you know they're building it if they don't apply for a permit?
They have to apply. They're just getting it for free.
Okay, so they still have to apply.
Correct. Yeah, we would still review it, inspect it, and all that like we would normally.
I think the idea is to try to narrow down because they don't want to be flooded with like, oh, I'm going to do all this work and build a new outback extension of my house.
Right.
Try to narrow it to what do we not have to, you know, hold the person's hand to.
I just want to make sure it's still done to our city regulations and they applied, but it wasn't inspected. So as long as that's still intact.
It would still be inspected.
Okay. And how long is the permit duration? How long is it good for?
2 years.
That's a long time. And I think those are my main questions about that. But I'm in favor of it being for all properties. I mean, I know you mentioned in one area you recommend for all residential properties, but then if it's owner resident versus it just.
And I should have said that too in the second option with kind of the limited number, like I would recommend that it just be for all residential properties because I think
that's a lot easier for you guys.
It's a lot easier for us, but also just like philosophically or whatever, I think it does benefit the city as a whole if everybody, even if they don't live there, is able to improve their property or if it motivates them to improve their properties.
Somebody might say a rising tide raises all ships. Is that?
Not familiar with that.
No, okay. I've only.
And then most of the permits are online too, is that right?
Yes, you can apply for all of them online or via email.
Thank you.
Councilmember Armistead?
Thank you. Yeah, I agree with the option 2 for all properties. Like you said, if we're in this for the aesthetic improvements to the city, it really doesn't matter to us whether the property's owner occupied or not. I was trying to read your face about that refund. Is that just an administrative nightmare?
Yes, because then I have to pull in China's department to send people checks instead of just my own people.
I like the idea, but yeah, I'd go with your option 2, the limited list of permits, but for all types of properties.
All right, I'm gonna For this round of questions, we're going to end with our general contractor. So
So I was sort of in favor last time, but after seeing the fees and the time you guys put in there, it's really not much. Like what was it, $175 on a $4,000 concrete driveway? Number one, that's a good price for a concrete driveway when you demo and build it back. I'll take that all day. But $175 is nothing. You're spending $4,000 on that. And then it was like
I've
five.
never heard of that seems like such a low price.
That is ridiculously low. Like, so I was gonna just say, but after seeing the prices for the fees, I really can't say that, I mean, I'm building a lot of stuff now and I mean, I've paid a bunch of fees and I don't mind it. I think it fits their time, we got to give back to the city. So trust me, I build a lot of stuff. I'd love to not have fees, but I think it's warranted for our staff's time and for us to keep moving forward. Now, I might be willing to think about maybe for all properties, maybe some reduced fees for a resident, maybe, but then that just gets hairy and squirrely and a lot more time on you guys. But I just think after seeing all those fees with the size of the projects, those people that are doing those projects can afford those fees and pay our staff for their time. So that's sort of where I'm standing now. So I guess that'd be more number one.
Councilmember Henshaw?
One other question. We still work with a third-party vendor for plan review, correct? So are they okay with not with working for free, or are we
No,
paying
we'd
their
be
fees
paying
out
them.
of our pocket?
The contract we have with them states that they get 53% of our permit revenue.
So nothing from nothing is nothing.
And
Okay.
that was part of what went into the recommended list, because those tend to be either projects that are easier to inspect or aren't that large of a fee anyway, so they're not missing out on a ton of revenue. Like, don't do building additions, because that's where
Yeah. Well, it's a lot of time sucked to do building additions as well. So
that's a lot of time invested in inspections for additions and finishes and things like that.
I guess I'd lean towards two then, knowing that, it might kickstart a few people to improve things, but it's not going to be a blanket. If you're building a new house, you can waive a $30,000 permit fee or whatever. Less, it wouldn't be that much. $10,000 permit fee for any construction.
Any other comments? Go ahead.
Yeah, does it matter if it's prefab or something bought at Home Depot?
No, it's if the requirement is just that it has to be appropriately anchored, so that sometimes that's a stake, sometimes that's a pillar, sometimes that's a slab. It really depends. So.
What's the first read?
Oh, it's a resolution, so if
So we just have
if
to
you
vote
if you
on
want to
it.
vote on it, and
Anyone want to make a motion?
yeah.
I move to approve option 2 as presented by Mr. Shelton for the summer permit fee waiver.
You have a second? All right, we have motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Yeah, driveways.
Yeah, option 2 is all properties. Option 3 was just resident occupied. Councilmember Armistead?
Yes.
Councilmember Evans?
Yes.
Councilmember Henshaw?
Yes.
Councilmember Nasser?
Yes.
Councilmember Simmons?
No.
All right, motion passes. Thank you. And our final item of the night, and the one I've been looking forward to the most. Let's give 2 minutes so that Councilmember Henshaw can come back. All right, turn it over to our city manager, Chuck Atkinson.
All right, good evening, Mayor and Council. This agenda item that is before you is to set our final budget for our city center development project. As you know, we received the guaranteed maximum pricing from Choate, along with a VM log, value management log. And I want to mention that as of yesterday, Choate is back on site. So site work should begin soon. And this item tonight is important to make sure that we have them continuing on site and we don't run the risk of another demobilization. As I stated, you received the GMP with the VM log, and the GMP came back at 33,908,325. Choate proposed cuts that would get that pricing down to 31,884,624. We met with mayor and council, along with Gary Sobel, our master developer, and Nate Horton with DC of Georgia, and heard your concerns, and we took your feedback, and we created the spreadsheet that's in front of you tonight and up on the screen with things that you are acceptable being in the VM log, which is the second column, and things that we heard concerns from mayor and council that you wanted back into the project, which is dictated in column number 4. As you can see, MPS weighed in on several of the, or weighed in on some of the items also where they had concern, and we shifted those to column number 4 also. And they were okay with the other items being left in the cut column 2. Did not see that they would, affect the look and feel of our building or the hardscape. So with that said, the new cuts would be over $1 million, and it would take the price down to 191,194, and that includes adding in 305,440 for the section of Park Avenue that extends from Road C to Buford Highway. That part of Park Avenue was never contemplated in the city center budget, so that will be an addition, but it is an important piece to consider so that we have Park Avenue a completed road. And so that would be an increase. So if we add that back in, we get to 33,191,194. And then we added a $500,000 contingency in for a grand total of 33,691,194. I submitted a memo to you all after going over this with our finance director, Chana Agu, and we have identified additional funding sources where money could possibly be pulled from, and those are listed in front of you. Obviously, we have the bonds that were issued for the $35 million, But we have the LMIG grant for Park Avenue. That's a reimbursable grant. We have the library grant. That's also a reimbursable grant. And then we have some funds, the stormwater bank or stormwater fund, tree bank, some SPOS, as well as some interest from the bonds. So we have some money that we can pull from if you choose to go above the 32 million that was previously set. Basically, we can take the GMP of 33,908,325. We could take the cuts that Choate submitted to us, or we could go based off the spreadsheet that we have from our conversations with you all. So that's where we are. Like, any questions?
Yeah, no, I want to thank you and China for going through this. I know you've been looking at this with a fine tooth comb for last couple of weeks, especially since getting council's feedback. And I guess I would just comment. I think that the reductions that are currently in column 2 seem to make sense, and based on your feedback, you were in all of the meetings with the council members. I think those are the ones that are kind of uncontroversial. The more controversial ones would really start cutting into how the site feels, whether it's cutting back on the landscaping budget, cutting back on the interior finishes, cutting back on the lighting. Like, those are pretty big, drastic things. The fact that we have made almost $1 million in interest on the money that we've had from the bonds is amazing to me. So thank you for managing that money so well. Appreciate that we now have that to apply to this project. And I think the other funding sources made sense to me as well. I know there are some questions, particularly about contingency. I'll let other council members ask those, and we'll actually start with Councilmember Simmons.
Thanks, Mayor. Yeah, after seeing your memo and all, that's great. We have the extra money. I just think $500,000 for a contingency on a $33 million project isn't enough, probably, after what we have. But the items in column 4 that got rejected that will stay in the budget, I guess there's still ways we can save there once a spec is picked, like for the flooring. There wasn't anyone beside that item, but it was $40,000 of savings for the reduced overall flooring cost, just getting a different product or something. I mean, so obviously it's a budgeted number, and if we could pick a spec that we all like, we could come in under that number and save some money. Isn't that correct, Gary?
Mayor and Council, yeah, absolutely. There's opportunity to seek further savings, but if we are continuing to shop these items, timeline grows. So there's a point where we do have to put the stake in the ground and accept what's on the table. But the mantra that we've pushed everybody towards is, if we can cut money that doesn't cut quality, move this forward. But we're at a point now we have to lock this in. So if there are savings, we could certainly consider that. But we're at a point where we don't want to demobilize. And ordering the materials, there's a lot of lead time for all of this. There's other items in here, and I don't want to go line item by line item, but that's up to you. But I think this is a really good compromise to get us the quality that that the city deserves, and do this, with fiscal responsibility.
Yeah. So no, all my point was I don't want to reinvent the wheel. I'm fine with how it lays. It's just when we get into it and get the spec that they order, there is options for.
Your contingency question too.
Yeah,
I
that was
think
my next
the other question is, can that be raised? Because I think that the dollar amount we have money that can.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say after I clarify that one is, so we have $500,000, and if you did the $4 million roughly that you said that we had plus, what was it, 34 million something from the bond, like between the two bonds. That gives us 38. I think we can raise that contingency and still be within budget was sort of the point I was going to get at next. Is that correct, China? Okay. Yeah. So, I mean, that's why I'm fine with it. After seeing that and just knowing, you know, they have the architects spec stuff and they like to spec real nice things, and the general contractor will come in and says, that's good. Here's the same look and here's approved. It's not sort of going to stop them from demobilizing or anything. I want to still move forward just as we go along that process. I know there's chances we can save a little here and there, but now that I saw that memo, we're funded, we can raise our contingency. I'm fine with it.
We definitely want to lock in our pricing now because I think things are only going to go up for the rest of the year. So, Councilmember Nasser?
So I'm trying to figure out what are we compromising at this moment? I mean, from the previous one and the current one. I know we talked about.
So these, everything in this column?
With red, they're going away out of our budget. These are all staying.
So like it's the restrooms, that one we already had all agreed on.
Oh, yeah, let me.
Okay. Councilmember Henshaw?
No, I mean, in my experience, clients who do every project needs some level of value engineering. Nobody has unlimited budgets, but when you start to eliminate big picture, big ticket items, that you wind up going, oh, we'll put it back in later, or, oh, it's not going to have a big effect on the project, but it always does. And so, I'm sort of in favor of the hybrid model. I'm okay with some of the stuff that's been removed. I'm not okay with some of it, but it's not like I'm gonna put my foot down about it. So, generally speaking, I like where we're at. I like that we've got the additional money aside. So if I had my way, I would just build the entire thing the way we had originally done it and try to find the extra money somewhere else. But to make the point to the people that are still listening, because it's not that late, we're getting a massively beautiful building and a huge amount of infrastructure improvements and a new downtown that will really help bring a lot of life to Doraville for not a lot of money. I mean, I know saying that $33 million is not a lot of money seems crazy, but you know, when our neighbor to two cities to the south spent over $80 million building a single building with no infrastructure improvements on leased land, I mean, you know, it's you look at what we're getting for the money that we're getting for it. And how nice the building is and how well it engages the site and the site that we're creating for it. It's a huge value. So I'm in favor of spending what it takes to get the project done right. Well,
thank you. Councilmember Evans?
Yeah, it's just been a lengthy process and I feel like we're just getting started. So
now the fun part.
But to that point, I do look forward to the next steps of what does this look like? So I know getting past where we can actually start turning the dirt, but as you mentioned, lighting packages, wood, carpet, all of that, and really start determining the actual cost of these items versus just a budgeted line item. You want to speak on that?
I'll address that if I could. The line items are based upon bids that came back from subcontractors. So these are real numbers. The hope when you go forward to the next part of this project, you quote, buy out these items from contractors, you give them a chance to get more aggressive. So the hope is that the prices can come down, not go up the next phase. Everything in column 2 acceptable to council that's there, or we're hoping is acceptable to council, was unanimously agreed upon by Choate, our construction manager, DC, as well as MPS, to take a look at that we're not compromising the look, the feel, the quality of this development. So please don't take that column to believe that we're pulling back on the quality. All of that was believed by, including the architectural firm, that you're getting exactly what we hope to deliver of quality.
And I mean, just because I know it's one thing that I brought up, the restrooms, I know it's not going to be universal throughout because of costs, but I do like the fact that it's still a universal restroom per floor. So the fact that it's still there is impressive and great. I'm glad to see that's still a part of it. I think you mentioned, Chief, that developer fees are not a part of this budget?
Correct.
Correct. All right.
They do not come out of this money.
This is just the GMP.
This is just GMP.
And we will still, go ahead.
Well, this accounts for the People's Building, FF&E, low voltage systems, and all the fees for Choate, as well as MPS.
And we will continue to still go after grants, federal funding, things of that nature to help offset some of this as well, right?
Any money we can get. We're trying.
Oh, I'm excited. So this is, let's continue. Let's start moving some dirt. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Armstead.
Yes, I think everything in column 2 is acceptable to me. So I'm curious about how the process actually works once we get to the point of, like Councilmember Simmons said, maybe we can save some money on the flooring. I assume all of those decisions don't come back to council for us all to look at 5 different kinds of floor. So who ultimately has the say in those smaller decisions?
So the specs for the flooring, as an example, are spelled out already in the plans. We would have to come up with something different that shows a savings that's material enough to come back to council. But unless permission is granted to the city manager to make that call, we would have to come back to you. We'd have to stop what we're doing on that part of the project. I caution.
Oh yeah, I'm not
Changes to
suggesting that
this
we do that.
would potentially cause us some concern.
But I guess that's my question. Would we assume that Chuck is going to make those calls on our behalf?
If that is where, if that's the wishes of the mayor and council, obviously I would lean on our partners to help me make that decision, because I am no developer.
I guess, for my I have like a slightly different experience dealing with projects than Councilmember Henshaw or Councilmember Simmons, because I'm typically the client, but I'm the client all the time. And, so just for council, like what is going to happen is there's going to be all these questions that the contractor has for the architect, and they're going to be like sending these questions about the actual conditions once, they're building the whole thing. So it should be a little different than me going into an interior, but all these questions about what does the design say? It's not really totally clear. And in some cases, they'll all get together. Oh, we didn't realize this. We have to make some sort of change. They'll put through a change order. I do think, that we should, if we haven't already, I don't know, like whether we have empowered the city manager or not, but he probably does need to be able to approve some of those minor things.
We've given the city manager additional financial authority in relation to this project, I believe to $100,000 already for the manager. I think to this, if we're talking aesthetic changes in that, there would be probably a determination of whether it was so minor, it was de minimis. But anything material would probably come back unless you wanted to create some authority.
I think the city manager is our basically like he's serving the same role that I serve, kind of like as the owner representative. And so I think if there's something that is a big enough change, he probably needs to use his judgment to come back to us and say, hey, they don't have our carpet anymore. We need to pick something, whatever. My guess is there probably aren't going to be any huge changes that they actively try to make, but there will be some changes that probably will need to come across to us, and they'll need to bring it back to us. So I'm glad you've got the authority. I wasn't sure if we had done that or not.
Thank you. That's helpful.
Councilmember Nasser?
Well, my question actually was, I know we made a lot of changes, right? We have a new bidder, right? I'm sorry, new bidder, or we took it to architect to redesign it? If I'm not mistaken, could you,
I'm not sure I understand the question, but let me try to.
I think we made some changes recently, right?
No, all we've done is take the previous information that was provided to us, evaluated each line item,
Right.
determined which ones we felt comfortable, which ones were concerns, and moved them between.
I think Councilmember Nasser is kind of asking about this part of the process, which basically they priced out the design as built. There weren't changes to that. But what happened was it came in over what we expected the cost to be. And so we hired a consultant who went through it and said, here's areas that you can cut. So all of these things on this list were potential changes. They're not the changes, they're potential changes. And so tonight's meeting is to decide which ones of those changes we're comfortable with making and which ones we're not. So I think ideally, probably none of us want to make any big changes, but he feels like if we make just the ones in this column right here.
Right, I understand that, you know, these items are removed or, you know, considering to be removed.
Yeah.
But I want to make sure the quality of what are we trying to achieve is there. And I want to make sure is there any design changed on the outer layer or structural or anything like that?
We have been told by MPS, our
architect,
as well as our construction manager, that the changes that you see in column 2, they are not going to affect the look and feel of the project.
That's the architect.
Yeah,
and
that's exactly
the
my,
important one.
that's exactly my concern was. So, I mean, I'm sure we can move things around, but I want to make sure we have the look and design, everything stays the same.
They have told us.
Okay. The budget is still, the budget is still under control, so, on point. The budget.
Yeah, we've got the
We have
the
enough.
money with it, as long as
in the
we
budget, right?
utilize that additional.
Here's our budget number.
All right, well, thank you.
Any other questions?
I guess I didn't make it clear, but I was okay with option 2. Line 2.
Would you like to make a motion on that?
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
I was just trying to get clarification. Are we adding more contingency? Is that?
Well, I don't think it really matters, right? Because you showed us the money. Does
We
it?
can pull it, yeah,
Yeah.
if you need it.
We can pull if we need it, right? We don't.
Making sure. Yes.
I mean, we don't have to say that, do we?
Wanna
Yeah.
Make sure that.
No, you showed us the money's there. And if we need to pull it, we can pull it. I'd rather not even use it,
Yeah. I'd rather not even use.
but it's there. I'll make a motion to.
Don't get this wrong, Cecil, if we get.
No, I'm not. I'll make a motion to approve the request for mayor and city council to approve the GMP for the city center project as shown here in exhibit City Center VML for GMP dated 4/14/2026, sent by the city manager Chuck Atkinson, along with the notes of his memo showing additional funding if needed.
To add column 2 on the.
Column 2 is removed. Code 2 is removed. Column 2.
So removing the items under column
Yeah.
at code 2.
Removing items under total cost by impact code number 2 on this city review of VML log dated April 15th, 2026 on the top of that.
Clear enough.
With adjusted project costs of $33,691,194.
Gary, on the discussion of the columns, but what we need to be saying is we approve of leaving.
Yeah, we're removing the items in column 3 and 4.
No, we need to add 3 in there. That was not.
3 and
part of the
4
package.
added in from the GMP, and then we're removing column 2 from the GMP, right? All right, so,
Start that over.
yeah. You want me, you want me to start it over, Cecil?
Yes.
So I'll make a motion to approve the request for the mayor and city council to approve the guaranteed maximum price for the city center project as shown in this exhibit, City Center VML for GMP dated 4/14/2026 by removing column 2 under city review of VML April 15th, 2026, which is impact code 2 from the GMP price, but leaving impact codes 3 and 4 in the GMP price for a total of $33,691,194, which includes the $500,000 contingency.
And pulling additional funds.
And then having access to additional funds as stated in City Manager Chuck Atkinson's memo of $4,581,000 if needed.
I second that.
All right, we have a motion and a second, and our attorney is nodding.
Second time's a charm.
All right.
Nailed it.
Any discussion? All right, Councilmember Armistead,
Yes.
Councilmember Henshaw,
Get those shovels moving, yes.
Councilmember Evans,
Yes.
Councilmember Nasser,
Yes.
Councilmember Simmons.
Yes.
All right, motion passes.
Thank y'all very much.
Thank you.
Breaking ceremony.
All right.
In a minute?
That was the last item of business. So we are just at council comments. I don't believe we have, hey, thank you very much. I don't believe we have any other, we have an executive session planned for tonight. So I'll go through and see if anyone has any comments. We'll start with Councilmember Nasser. Okay, Councilmember Simmons.
Oh yeah, I'll go. So I have definitely three comments. Friday, April 17th at 10 a.m. Gilbane's hosting a topping out ceremony for the new middle school and high school, the Sequoia Middle School, High School. I guess we can display that on our website of a map of where to park, Austin, if anyone wants to come. So please look on our website, dorvillega.us. Also, this past Friday, we had the ribbon cutting ceremony of the Bella's Blessing box at Brook Park. It was a great hit. It was a good turnout. A lot of supplies were donated and put in the box, and I've heard there have been a lot of people that have come out and taken some supplies, which is good that it's being used. So check that out. It's in Brook Park by the Little Free Library. And I hear there's other parks coming with new boxes here soon. And then lastly, April, I think it's 26 is a Saturday. It's the Good Human Gala hosted by Lifeline. And go on their website to look at all the information to go. I believe actually it's sold out, it's packed out. So if you're going, great. If not, look for next year. But it's to help recognize all the good work that everyone's done in the animal community. That's it.
Great. Councilmember Nasser.
I would like to thank you, everyone, for listening from home who are present here. It was a good outcome for our Stewart Road. A lot of people raised question about it, and a lot of people had concern about it. I would like to thank you for everyone who showed up, and thank you again. Also, who showed up for the car show. We had a car show at Honeysuckle Park last weekend. It was successful for the first one, and I was there, and I would like to see more participant on that, and hopefully in the future we will we'll host it again, and I appreciate everyone for supporting it. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Henshaw.
Yeah, I just want to thank people coming out for Stewart Road, both for and against. That's what we do here. We build, we make mistakes, we move forward, or we make good decisions that need to get tweaked, and it takes feedback from everybody that lives here. And that's the process. It's slow, it's ugly, it's dirty, and that's how the sausage gets made. So thank you for coming and supporting or denying your support of these items as we move forward. I'm also just very happy we're moving forward with our city center. It will, I don't know, it'll ultimately redefine Doraville as a city, but it will hopefully spur a lot of growth, targeted growth, and really help kind of kick off a new era for Doraville. And I'm very excited to be part of it. So thank you all who are up here and all of the teams who have worked I mean, hundreds of people have worked on this project so far and thousands to come under construction. So it's not just a city center, it's also providing a lot of jobs, a lot of growth, and just a lot of forward momentum. Thanks.
Councilmember Evans.
Yeah, I concur. Thank you to our staff for being here and thank you for working so diligently on this project, and excited for our new city center, People's Building, that'll be built soon, as well as some additional pads for our downtown with entertainment district and open container district and all these other things that's just going to really transform Doraville. With that being said, there's a Career Enrichment Summit that's actually taking place in Doraville on May 14th. WorkSource Georgia approached me by us hosting it. So that will be at Fleming Arena at Honeysuckle Park on May 14th from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. The Goodwill, as mentioned, is actually a part of that as well. So that'll be an early kickoff for their career center that they'll have in the city. Glad that's approved as well. And DeKalb County will participate as well. So it's huge. If you are looking for work, looking for employment, several Doraville businesses will be there, county, the Goodwill, et cetera. There'll be a great opportunity to come out and get your resume revised, interview on the spot, and hopefully find work. So excited about that opportunity. Other than that, the State of the County address is coming up on May 7th. So if you're curious about what's happening in DeKalb County, that'll be a great opportunity to come out to that as well. It is a ticketed event, but it will be in Doraville at Assembly Studios. That is, I don't know the exact time, but it's in the morning, 11 a.m., 11 to 1 p.m. CEO Lorraine Cochran-Johnson will be there speaking on all developments happening throughout DeKalb County. So stay tuned.
Thank you. Councilmember Armistead.
Thank you. Yeah, I just want to thank our staff and China and Chuck and everybody who went through this building plan line item by line item with a fine tooth comb to pull out what we needed you guys to pull out. I really appreciate it. I'm so excited that the numbers worked out and that we can make it happen. So thank you.
Thank you. And I'm going to take my time to just take a moment to remember my father-in-law who passed away on Saturday. Dr. Emil Bill Abbott, who was almost 86, not quite. He was born in Columbus and grew up in Columbus and Savannah, went to medical school in Augusta and served in the U.S. Navy, and lived in Japan for a few years, practiced medicine in Conyers, and then the last 20-some years of his life, or about the last 30 years, in Del Rio, Texas. He had been in poor health, and my husband and I have been going back and forth to Texas to kind of be with him. He was a great doctor, special man, and he will be missed. But anyway, I just wanted to take this opportunity to remember Bill. So sorry, I'm happy that I had the opportunity to get to know him and be a part of his family for 27 years. So with that, would anyone like to make a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Do you have a second? Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.